Om Sadashivasamārambhām Vyāsaśaṅkaramadhyamām Asmadācārya-paryantāṃ Vande Guruparamparaṃ Shrutismriti-purāṇānaṃ Ālayam Karuṇālayam Namāmi Bhagavatpādam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankarācāryam Keshavam Bādarayanam Sutra Bhasha Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarva Vidhe Namaha. So the last, we started off with chapter 7. So this chapter 7 is called Buddhyaruda Prakaranam. So Buddhyaruda Prakaranam. So Buddhihi or intellect and Arudam, when you say, is the literal meaning is climbing or mounting. That is the literal meaning. But here the word Arudam means that which is coming in front of the Buddhi. So that which appears in front of the Buddhi is called Buddhyarudaha. So Buddhi Arudaha. And this is this particular chapter is called Mahavakyam. There is a discussion about the Aham Brahmasmi later on in the chapter as well. So it's a beautiful word, Adi Shankara uses here for the word Arudam, because all the objects which are there, any objects which you see, is experienced only when it comes in front of the intellect. So the intellect has to be there and the objects has to be always in the front. So the objects are always in the front, means outside of you, or it should be known. But anything which is beyond intellect, which is the Atma, the Sakshi, cannot be illuminated, it cannot come into light. Because the Atma, the Sakshi itself is the illuminator. And the intellect is the relative illuminator. And because of the status of being the absolute illuminator and the relative illuminator, the Buddhya Arudaha says here, it means that the intellect can identify objects only which is in front of anything. So it can be any object which you see in the world, in the universe. It also refers to our own physical body, which is also in front of the intellect. Because the intellect reveals the body, mind, sense complex. Everything reveals, correct? So we'll just read this verse. Buddhyarudam sada sarvam drishyate yatra tatra va maya tasmat param brahma sarvajñāsmi sarvagaha. So in there's a tika available which I was reading. Just read out what it is. You don't need to worry about it. So it says here, the word sarvam. See the word called Maya and Sarvam. In the first line this Sarvam and the second line this Maya. So Maya Sarvam, Yasmin Maya Sarvam, means in me, everything which is in me is Adhyatmaha, Adhyatmam, Adibhutam, Adidhaivam. So Adhyatmam means one's own dosha, one's own because of one's own intellect. Then Adibhutam, that which is Bhautikaha, surrounding our own and Adi Daivam, Adi Daivika. So they are all Upalakshanam, they are all also visible or known only because of the intellect being there. Then the Yatra Tatra Va. So Yatra Tatra, the word itself means here and there or everywhere. All. And Va indicates here three other things which is mentioned. Jagrat, Swapna. That is waking state and the dream state. It is not in the Bhashyam, don't worry, it's not in the text, but I'm just giving you extra. So the Yatra Tatra denotes the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha. Then Ihaloka means in this loka, in this world, what is there? Paraloka. So Paraloka means that which is outside of also. Sthitam, established, and I am the Sakshi of this. And Sada Sarvam, Sada, word Sada indicates that always. It is not something which is intermittent. Sada means always illuminator. Sada Sarvam Drishyate. So Drishyate means that which is seen as an object, and Sada Sarvam Drishyate, and Buddhya Arudam. So anything which is seen is always seen is in front of the intellect. And what are those things? Anything which is Yatra Tatra, anything which is here, there, and everywhere. And everywhere that he has actually given Upalakshanam in the Bhashyam has. Jagrat, Swapna, Ihaloka, Paraloka, Adhyatma, Adibhutam, Adidhaivam. So it includes anything which is known to you, Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautikam, and Adi Daivikam. So anything which is act of God, anything which is our own defect of the intellect, and also anything which is known through the surroundings, Adi Bhautikam, and anything which is known in this lokam also, Ihalokam and Paralokam. So any is included everything which is there as the one which is coming in front of the buddhi. So Buddhya Arudam Sada Sarvam Drishyate. Last time I didn't tell you this Yatra Tatra meaning clearly, and I had referred one of the tikas written by another Ramatirtha Tika. So he has clarified that this particular word includes these 6 different Upalakshanam. Jagrat, Swapna, Ihaloka, Paraloka, Adhyatma, Adibhuta, Adidhaivam, Itya Upalakshanam, etc. are the Upalakshanam for this. Tasmat, therefore I am Param Brahma. Tasmat means therefore I am the Param Brahma. And Param, the word Param indicates that which is beyond everything. Param. And the word Brahma indicates that Brahman, not Brahma. Brahma means here the Brahman or the consciousness, which is the nature of Paraha. So Param Brahma, and another adjective is giving also is Sarvagya. Sarvagyam means when you say here, all knowing. Sarvagyam. So all knowing, omnipotent, omniscient, you can say Sarvagyam. That which is. So when you say Sarvagyam, when we say Sarvagyam, let's say if we say I am Sarvagya, then we say from the standpoint of our own buddhi. We do not say it in front of as the Atma. So when we say I am Sarvagya, then it means that you are talking from the point of the buddhi only, the intellect only. But here when the teacher says or the Bhashyakara says that you are Sarvagya, it means he is not mentioning the intellect, he is mentioning the Atma or the consciousness which is you. So that is what is important. Sarvagyasmi. So buddhyarudam sada sarvam drishyate yatra tatra va maya tasmat param brahma sarvagya chasmi sarvaga. And the sarvagyam, he has actually given another example. Sarvam prakashaka. Sarvam prakashaka means that which illumines everything is sarvagya. So when knowledge is arising, when knowledge is full, it illumines everything. So prakashaka. Then sarvagam, adjective or the upalakshanam which I can see in this one is aparachinna asmi iti artha. Aparachinna means that which is continuous. There's no break in this. So there is no cessation or anything which is unbroken, you can say. So unbroken thought, unbroken, so thoughts are broken. Thoughts come and go, this not intermittent. They are always intermittent. But consciousness is always permanent. So aparichinnam asmi iti artha. So sarvagam means aparichinnam, sarvagyam, swayam prakashakaha. Then sarvam, there is another connotation given, is sarva drishya. Sarva means sarva drishya vilakshanatvat. Sarva drishya vilakshanatvat means vilakshana means without any distinguishing property, without any attributes or upadhis. Vilakshanatvat. Then param, prapancha atitam. So param and prapancha atitam. So the word sarvam and sarvagyam, he has given different definitions for this. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say. In the last class, I couldn't say that. Okay. Is the first verse clear? Okay. Then second one. The second verse talks about the difficulty in giving up this concept called the Atma. You cannot drop this idea. It is not possible to do this. So let's look at the verse and see what it says here. Yatatma buddhi charanam sakshi tadvat pareshvapi. Yadatma buddhi charanam sakshi tadvat pareshvapi. Naiva podum navadhatum shakyat tasmat parohyam. So yata atma buddhi charanam. So the word charanam is pracharanam. See, charanam here means that which is moving. See, charati, the word charanam comes from the word charati, which moves or that keeps floating. So yatha atma buddhi charanam aham sakshi. So in any thoughts which are moving, in any cognition, any vritti, aham sakshi. So I am the witness. And Atma Buddhi Pracharanam means Atma is behind the Buddhi and all the thoughts which are rising and falling and which is moving, etc. I am the Sakshi, Aham Sakshi. So the doubt may come as to whatever I am experiencing or whatever I am seeing, I can claim that I am the knower, I am etc. Correct? I am the knower. But how do I accept other people's thoughts? So if there are 3, 4 people, 5, 6 people are here each of us can say that, yes, I am the experiencer, I know my thoughts, I am the Atma, etc. But when coming to the Vishayam here is, there is nothing called you Atma or my Atma. It's only Atma. So how do we recognize, or how do we, the difficulty is when you are not able to extend the philosophy or extend that vision from your own self to other people. So that's what it says here. See, tadvat pareshu api. Tadvat pareshu api. So in the same way, tadvat in the same way, pareshu api means even in their case also. Pareshu means other people. So if I am the intellect, if I am the Atma, which I'm saying I'm the claiming the Atma, then I cannot say that somebody else is actually, I'm not able to see them. Because the same intellect, same Atma is present in everybody as one. So one should be able to extend the same logic, same understanding by saying that if the objects are seen in me, I see myself, then I see myself in everybody also. That's why he says, Mayeva sarvam jatam, Mai sarvam pratishtitam. So, see, it's also in the Kaivalya Upanishad, this particular mantra. See, Mayeva sakalam jatam, Mai sarvam pratishtitam. So, Mayeva means I am the only person, sakalam jatam, the one which is appearing in everything as one. Mayeva sakalam jatam, that which is arising, and Mai sarvam pratishtitam. So I am the one who is also established in every. So the word sarvam you should take from the previous that which is all, sarvam. And Mai sarvam layam yanti. So Mai sarvam layam yanti means the one when the whole Maha Pralayam is over. So, Jatam, Pratishtitam, and Yati. So, that which comes, that which gets established and stays, and that which also gets resolved. Okay? So, Mayeva Sarvam Jatam, Mai Sarvam Pratishtitam, Mai Sarvam Layam Yati, Tad Brahmat Ahamasmi. So, I am that Brahman. So, I am the Brahman which is present in every thought which is coming, which is getting established, and the thought also resolved also. So, the same concept is explained in other Upanishad, Kaivalya Upanishad, and also in the other text called Brahmanuchintanam. It's another small text. So, it talks about this particular aspect. So, tadvat pareshu api. See, naiva podum nava dhatum. So, naiva podum iva na iva. Podum. Podum actually means give up something. See, apodum, when I say here, see, na iva apodum shakyaha. That means it is not possible for you to get rid of this. See, even though you want to say that I want to get rid of this concept, you cannot get rid of it, nor give up this. So giving up the concept of Aham Brahmasmi, it is not something not possible. Because it is the truth, and the truth cannot be just given up just because we are not able to see it or understand it. It is there. And the only way you will be able to see is when you understand the truth. So, tadvat pareshu api na iva apodum shakyaha. Then, nava dhatum, that should be nava adhatum. See, dhatum means to give, and adhatum means that which cannot be given up also. It cannot be dropped also. Nava dhatum. See, you cannot take up sakshi. See, you cannot say that, see, apodum means what? Dropping or removing this. Then, adhatum means you cannot take up something. So, it is not something to be dropped, nor you can say that I am taking up. So it is not an object to be taken up or not an object to be owned like this, because it is already there. So yata atma buddhi pracharanam aham sakshi tadvat pareshu api na iva apodum shakyah. Nava adhatum. It is not also possible for you to take up that. Tasmat parohi ham. Therefore, I am that Brahman. Tasmat, therefore, I am that Para-Brahman. That is the message here. So I am beyond the Ahankara. Tasmat parohi ham. Aham means I am beyond the Ahankara. Also called the Para-Brahman. Is that clear to you, this particular verse? Okay. Jay, you're okay, clear, right? Okay. Then the third one talks about the, there's a doubt raised by somebody, saying that, okay, I understand all these things, but there are some defects in the intellect. The intellect has got defects, and those defects, they belong to me, or how do I get rid of those defects is the objection. And he uses the example here. There are 4 defects mentioned in this particular verse number 3. The first one is called Vikaritvam. See, we'll read this verse, then we will see. Vikaritvam ashuddhatvam bhautikatvam na chatmanaha. Vikaritvam ashuddhatvam bhautikatvam na chatmanaha. Ashesha buddhi sakshitbhad. Ashesha buddhi sakshitbhad. Buddhi vachalpa vedana. Buddhi vaschalpa vedana. So the first one, see in here, there is a reference in the Tika towards Kshetram Kshetragyaha. So in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a chapter 13, where Kshetram Kshetragya Chapimam Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. Correct? So the Kshetram is the body, and Kshetragya is the knower of the body, the knower of the field. And Kshetram denotes anything which is available for perception. So the previous example we saw that anything which is Ihaloka, Paraloka, Adhyatma, Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, all of them are the Upalakshana. They are all the Kshetram. They are all to be known. But in all of them, there is only one knower called Kshetragya. So the Kshetram can have defects. The Kshetram can have defects because it is made of matter. It belongs to Prakriti. And it is made of gunas. See, it consists of gunas. And the gunas can be Sattvic guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. And when you're Sattvic, we tend to make less errors. When we are Rajasic, we tend to make more errors. And in Tamasic, we don't even know we are making error or not, because we are very relaxed. So all the 3 are vikara. Correct? They are all modifications. See, anything which you see here in this world, it is subject to modification. So vikaram. So even when the thought comes, the thought also is vikaram. So the first defect he points out here is called vikaritvam. Subject to modifications. Example, there are many vrittis rising in the class. And sometimes there are no vrittis also. It is possible that sometimes our mind can go completely blank. Example, when we had sumptuous food yesterday, after the program was there, we were all feeling very energetic, we were chanting very loudly, etc. After the chanting was over, the food was ready, and we had a variety of food. And after the food was eaten, people were very, I also felt lethargic. Like suddenly you felt all that energy which was there. The food seemed to consume all of them, and you just wanted to relax. Because at that time, somebody says something to you, you do not register. Or it is possible that even when you are actively studying something also, sometimes the mind is completely blank and it does not register anything, right? So vikaritvam is, even for a moment, sometimes we just, take our attention, or we doze off, or we just, go into a lapse, and sometimes whatever is spoken cannot be, registered. That is because it's also vikaritvam. So it is subject to modifications. And because there are no vrittis arising at that time, it is not possible for perception. So for vikaritvam, there is a modification required. Then only it is available for perception or knowledge to take place. So vikaritvam is the first defect. See, Atma is not subject to vikaritvam. If you look at the first line, nacha atmanaha. See, nacha atmanaha means what? So you add vikaritvam na atmana. So vikaritvam is not the Atma. It is not, doesn't belong to the Atma. Then second defect is called ashuddhatvam. See, ashuddham means impurity. Impurity or any malam, you can say. And impurity is nothing but the raga dveshas. And the Shadripuhu, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madam and Matsarya. So all the 6 different, vikarams or the changes which is happen, the intellect also is the Ashuddha. So one becomes Ashuddha because of this. It is also due to Samsarga Dosha. See, Samsarga Dosha means, see, when the intellect sees something good, let's say an example I'll give you shortly. First, the intellect sees something good, it is vikara. There is a change. So from a study point of view, there's something good news is coming to you. So there's a change called good news, correct? So good news is a change. So you become very joyous and the intellect becomes very happy. So there's again another change. So from the good news which is arising in the mind as knowledge, now is converted into joy. So the joy or the enjoyment which is also the vritti. After some time, the joy also may become sad. Because whatever you enjoyed or whatever news you had and you started to celebrate, this is a very good news, I think very nice. Then suddenly some other knowledge comes to you which makes you feel sad. So all the 3 things are what? They are modification of vritti. Right? So initially there's a jnanam rising, then jnanam gets changed due to vritti into another type of knowledge, and the same knowledge gets changed by another experience, which becomes another knowledge. So 3 different types of experiences possible in any situation. You can be vritti jnanam rises, then happiness, and happiness can become sadness. An example also I can give you is, let us say that you're all, attending a class here, or and in a Gurukulam, sometimes in a Gurukulam when you go there, there'll be same food every day. There'll be no change. Like Monday will be Monday only, and Tuesday will be Tuesday only. The people know the routine. For people who are staying for a long time, like to attend a course there, for 3 years, sometimes you'll get frustrated. What is this? So one day one Mahabhava will come, somebody from Coimbatore will come, and he will have a birthday celebration. So on the board there will be written there. So when you come in the morning for tea, today birthday celebration of this person, a special name payasam is being offered. So special name payasam is being offered. So the board is read. So what do? Immediately, first of all, there is a happiness, because the same food which is there, the morning you go there, it will be idli there, there will be some pongal will be there, something, same thing will be there. And for a change, this particular function has come, and you get nei payasam being served there. So when you read the message, today is very good. So you go to the class thinking about the nei payasam. So the whole day, the class you've been there, I'm waiting for lunch to come. 12:30, the Swamiji is finishing class, and you are out of the door. Before Purnamadalam is sent, you start sliding out. This is an example. People don't do that. But there are people who do that. People sit at the back of the bench, they slide out quickly. They go and stand in the queue first. And by the time you go and do all the chanting, etc., there'll be, if you're lucky, you'll get something, or you will not get it also. So initially, when the thought was there, you didn't have a thin thought. It was a normal thought, correct? But when you read the news, the initial knowledge became happy. So there was happiness, a joyousness which was there, which was staying with you for a very long time. You forgot that, on that particular day is Ekadashi day. You forgot it. Only when you went there, somebody told you, today is Ekadashi, Oh my God. So I never knew that today had Ekadashi. So sometimes we say, Kai ketti vai kettla abdimba. That means you are very close to having nei payasam, but you cannot have it because you are Ekadashi. So what, you just watch everybody eating that nei payasam there. You become very sad. So you become very sad. So all these things are what? They are only vikarams. So there was a expectation that you'll be happy, and you were happy. Then again you became very sad because a particular phenomenon was not happening. Then all these things are only vikaram, or the modification of thought. And this is ashuddha. See, ashuddha means what? It is impurity in thought. And savikalpa, because you are attaching importance to that particular phenomenon, it becomes savikalpa. And therefore savikalpam will always bring you unhappiness. So it should be nirvikalpa. Like I know, you don't follow Ekadashi. I don't follow any vratam at all. For me, there is no vratam. It's always there. So it doesn't mean even my teacher also has no vratam or Ekadashi. So whatever is available, like on a particular day, see, we don't crave for it. Like you have to have this particular dish, etc. What it means that you do not depend on anything for your happiness. You do not wait for things to happen, or you crave for it. So then it becomes a ashuddha. So here it talks about ashuddhatvam. See, vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam. So sadness comes also as ashuddhatvam, and it happens only in the buddhi. See, it is not happening in the atma. Only the intellect, it is registered saying that I am a very sad person, or I am a very happy person. The Atma or the consciousness does not get affected by any of this vikaram which is happening there. So this is also a defect. So the defect number one is vikaritvam and ashuddhatvam. Then so here, even the second also, ashuddhatvam also, I was a pramata. See, I was a knower first. And as long as I become a knower, I stay a knower, I don't have a problem with this. See, if I know that there is payasam and I know there is food, it's okay. I do not get affected by it. But if I become a bhokta, if I become an enjoyer, that yes, I would like to enjoy this one, then there can be a problem, because it brings with it the kartutvam, the doership, and also the bhoktutvam, enjoyership also. And as long as you have both of them, it will bring you sukham and dukkam, pain and pleasure will be there. So you will not be able to have equanimity. Because one day, today you'll have it, tomorrow, if you don't have it. Yesterday, I hope somebody comes tomorrow also at the birthday party like this. So you start expecting that. So in Gurukulam it happens. 3 years is a long time. Long time. And sometimes it's like even holiday. Once in a year, you'll get 2 weeks holiday. You cannot even go to Coimbatore also. It's very nearby, 30 kilometers. But the teachers won't let you go. There's no warden or nothing like this. The homework is so heavy that you got to write this, you got to read this, you got to study this, make notes. Then there'll be discussion. So if you're not up to date, or if you're not really following the text closely, you will not be able to. You will be just lagging behind. So automatically you are restricted. Just like this coronavirus is there, we are restricted. There is automatic. It's always there. There's no virus there. It is just like you are stuck there. You can't come out. So you get used to that kind of a lifestyle, and that lifestyle is very good because after that 3 years, then you don't feel like doing anything. You are used to that kind of a simple lifestyle. So it makes you a very strong person. But same way here also, the Ashuddhatvam belongs to the intellect, not to the Atma. So Vikaritvam nacha Atmanaha, Ashuddhatvam nacha Atmana. Then third one is Bhautikatvam. See, Bhautikatvam, Bhautikam means elements or belonging to the matter, Bhautikam. And the Buddhi is a Sukshma Shariram. So it's part of the Sukshma. And it is also made of the Sukshma elements. That's why it says here Bhautikatvam. Then the fourth, so Bhautikatvam also is Nacha Atmana. So you have to add the word Nacha Atmana. So Vikaritvam na Atmanaha, Ashuddhatvam na Atmanaha, Bhautikatvam na Atmanaha. Then the fourth defect is called Alpa Vedana. If you look at the last line, the last part of this, Alpa Vedana. So Alpa Vedana is not the Vedana, means not the problem you got, it's not Vedana. So the Vedana here means knowledge. The word coming from with, the knowledge. So Alpa Vedana means Alpagya. Alpagyam. So Alpagyam means Alpa knowledge. So Alpagyatvam means the knowledge that I am limited. So the Buddhi always will be having a concept that I am limited. It will always present you with an option. I can only do this. I'm a limited person. I have this much energy. I can only do this far. I cannot do anything more. All of this, when you say I, they are actually not talking about the absolute I. It is only talking about a relative I, which is limited to the capacity of your intellect, what you can do. Physically, you cannot do certain things because time constraint is there. Like if you want to add one more class, etc., I cannot do, or difficult to do that. Also, energy level also should be there, where you can have a lengthy, so many different sessions you can have. Preparation required, time. So all of them is actually to do with limited, and this is limited only to the intellect. The Atma does not have any of these categories. It doesn't belong to any of them. That's why even Alpa Vedana nacha Atmana. So Alpa Vedana nacha Atmanaha, Vikaritvam na Atmanaha, Bhautikatvam na Atmanaha, Ashuddhatvam na Atmanaha. So the four things which are mentioned here, they are not part of the Atma. So the attribute of Drishya cannot belong to the Drishta. See, drishyam, see, any object will give another object of knowledge. See, if you have an object to be seen, it will bring you another object in light. See, an example I'll give you is, if you see a rose, the first cognition is a rose, correct? You see it's a rose, first cognition. Then that rose cognition will illumine another thought called it as a red rose. Hope you're following, right? So the first cognition is always an object, first object. Then that object will illumine another attribute or property of that object. So both are drishya. But the drishta is always different. The drishta is actually different from all these things. A drishta can see that rose, it can see a yellow rose. At the same time, it can identify both are different. It can see a climbing rose, a non-climbing rose. It can identify different things without changing the position. So the drishta will always be the same, whereas the drishyam will be always be different. It will keep changing all the time. So that's what it says here, that the drishyam belongs to the intellect. The object belongs to the intellect. The attribute also belongs to the intellect. Therefore, anything which is belong to the drishyam is not part of the drishta or the atma. Then, therefore, asesha buddhi sakshitvat. So, asesha buddhi sakshitvat, no, therefore, sesham means remaining. And asesham means that which is not, I am full. See, shesham means which is remainder there. Asesha means when that which is not anything which is remaining. So asesha buddhi sakshitvat. So I alone belong to the sakshi, I alone belong to everything. So the author here, what he wants to say is intellect present in me, intellect present in every one of us, he is the same. Because the intellect which is illumined in me is also illumined by the same Atma which is present in you also. So the drishyam will be different, but the drishta will be only one. So the difficulty we always have is of accepting that view, that how can it be a drishta for everybody? So if you ask me, are you happy? You will say, I am happy. But if you say that, are we all happy? He said, no, I will have to ask him only whether he's happy or not. How do I know he's happy or not? Because it is something which is pertaining to that particular person. That's why the author says here that the kshetram kshetragya chapimam viddhi sarva kshetrashu bharata. The example is given here saying that all of them, the vikaritvam, ashuddhatvam, bhautikatvam, alpa vedana belongs to the kshetram. It does not belong to the kshetragya. Kshetragya is only one. And kshetragya is not getting affected by any of those things. Is this clear? This one is clear to you? Okay. Today I have to go a little bit early, if you don't mind, because I got to take my son to a tennis class. I mean, he has been asking me to book a court opposite, so I booked a court for him. But these three verses, have you got? Is it clear to you? These three verses? Okay. I think I've said what I wanted to say in this one. See, there's a reference in the verse number 1 to a Bhagavad Gita verse. That is in chapter 3, verse number 40. So if you get time, you can refer it. Indriyani mano buddhirsya adhishtanam chamuchyate yetair vimohat yatyeshaha jnanam avritya dehinam. So Indriyani mano buddhihi asya adhishtanam uchyate. Etay vimohayati yeshaha jnanam avritya dehinam. So it says not the mind. Indriyani means senses, mana means mind, and buddhi means intellect. Asya means this. Adhishtanam, residence. Adhishtanam means the adharam, the residence. It is said that the senses, mind, intellect, etc. is residence. And these are vimohyati, they delude a person. See, these senses, mind, intellect, etc., they are residing in the person. And they delude a person. Because what they do, they actually make you think, make you the doer. The senses make you the doer, the mind makes you the doer, the intellect makes you the doer. And because being the doership comes in existence, the bhoktritvam comes in existence. Thereby, you experience the pain and pleasure, you oscillate between pain and pleasure. So, samadukka chittam is not there. Then, yeshaha, this desire, jnanam avritya dehinam. So, this particular desire, this particular phenomenon which is there, covers the indweller. So, because of this external way of thinking, intellect, etc., it makes you forget that there is a dehinam, there is a dehi inside the physical body, it is covered. So, once we are able to remove this, once we are able to remove all these things, saying that this is not part of the dehi, it's not part of the kshetragya, then it belongs to kshetra. So all these senses, kshetram, intellect kshetram, buddhi kshetram, ahankara kshetram. So all of this belong to kshetram, and I am kshetragya, I am the sakshi for all of them. So when we have this concept, then all these things, anything is happening to this one, doesn't touch me, it doesn't affect me. Because I can discount saying that this is ahankara, this is not me, this is buddhi, this is not me. So you just negate one by one, and that way it's a cognitive only. Physically you cannot do anything. Cognitively you just have to, thoughts come, you resolve the thoughts one by one. In that way you will be very clear. That's what it says here, that buddhi arudhanam. So the object which are appear in the front will always be in the front only. The intellect can never reveal the Atma. Intellect, buddhi can only reveal what is present in front or what is revealed through its own powers. The intellect doesn't have the capacity or the power to reveal that which is behind the intellect. So the Atma. So that's why he says that buddhi is always like this. And alpa vedanam, when we say alpa vedana, means this alpagya. Is it clear? So we'll stop here today, and we will continue from next class, verse number 4 onwards. We'll see. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Namaste. Hari.
Pranam.